Hello and welcome. My name is Jem. I'm a psychic medium and I am an author. Now, I don't usually teach on this channel, and just because I am going to teach this doesn't mean I am an experienced programmer. Okay, this is going to be part 1. First, a little bit of background. How did I come to know how or what JavaScript means? Well, Udemy, spelt U-D-E-M-Y, offers 3 courses. One of those courses is how to code your first arcade game using JavaScript. And all you needed was a web browser and a text editor. Okay. In this lesson, we are not actually going to get into JavaScript because there are a few other things you need to know how to do before you can do JavaScript. Secondly, by the end of all the lessons, I am going to just show you my code, which you can copy and code your own game of Pong. Pong, as I have coded it, is a game for 2 players where one player uses W and S to go or move their paddle up and down, and the other uses the up arrow and the down arrow. Now, when I was learning how to code Pong, the lecturer or the tutor did a video form, and the lectures went over 2 hours. But it was supposed to be for beginner. He did not explain what things meant, plus he coded with old language. I am going to give you the code in new language. And the reason I was able to eventually understand code is because at high school I was good at algebra. Now, if you are good at algebra, you will understand it too. Also, what helped me was when I was studying for my Bachelor of Arts in 1983, one of the subjects I took was philosophy. In philosophy, we did logic, and logic is basically if A and B, then C. C means la, la, la. Okay, right. Now, first, I'm going to discuss some terms that's not JavaScript. But before I even go there, why do we have to even program certain things? You have to assume the computer knows nothing. We have to tell the computer everything. Okay, now I'm going to explain when you're coding for Pong, what a canvas is. Okay, the canvas is just your screen part on the computer, and it uses the X and Y axis, a graph in other words, but for the computer it's upside down. So when you code and you're coding things to go up, when you've got to remember it's upside down. So Y becomes smaller as it goes up, but we'll get into that at another time. Now, my lessons are only for those people who use Windows. I don't know how to use Apple. I guess it is similar. So when I'm going to teach you using Google Chrome. Google Chrome. Right, before we go any further, I just want you to open a Google Chrome, or if you know Google Chrome well, memorize what the Google page, the browser looks like. So a browser is Google Chrome. So at the top right-hand side of Chrome are 3 dots. When you click on those dots, there's a whole lot of different options. For example, there's history, there's passwords, and right down at the bottom is something called Developer Tools. This is where our canvas goes, our JavaScript goes. Okay? But more on that later. We're going to do this in baby steps. So, Udemy taught how to code Pong with the assumption that people knew how to save files, knew what a text editor was, and knew how to drag a file into a browser. And I'm being a very, very beginner. I do have Certificate 4 in Information Technology, and when I did Information Technology in 99, we had to do Linux. Linux was horrible. I am that old. I remember doing BASIC. BASIC was things like let, go to, and run. All right. When I said a text editor, I was not referring to Word. Word document will not work. Every computer has a text editor known as Notepad. If you don't know where your Notepad is, go to your Windows, which should be on the bottom of your little taskbar. Click in Windows, click at the top there, Notepad. Save the Notepad, or pin it, to your taskbar, because your Notepad is where we code. Okay, another thing we have to do is when we are actually coding, if you save a document in Notepad, it saves as, let's say we're saving the file as a game. So in Notepad, normally it saves as game.txt, the extension txt. txt stands for text. When we have to drag our code into a browser, because that's where the game happens, the text is not going to, that's not your game. So you have to change that extension to game.html. So if your files, and I would suggest when you have done your game.txt, save it to desktop. It's much easier to find. So we now want to change the extension to game.html so that the HTML can go into our browser. Okay, so how do we do that? All right, if your files are not showing the extension, so in other words, when you click on your file, it just says game and not showing the extension, this is how you do it. Go to Windows, go to File Explorer. So in your Windows, which is usually mine, is saved on my taskbar. So I click on the window and I type in File Explorer. When you go to File Explorer, go to the top of that window of the File Explorer and click on the View tab. Click on Show and check the box next to File Name Extensions. Go back to your file and it now should show game.txt. Click, so right click it, rename it, but you are renaming the extension. So you are renaming, you keep game the same, it's after the dot we are changing. So you change it from game.txt to the extension game.html. Now Windows will come up, the computer itself will warn you, you enter yes. Okay? Right. Let's say you have coded in Notepad, which is now game.html. So you open Notepad again, you're opening the file game.html, and this is where you put your code. Okay, and say you've coded, how do you get it into a browser? Well, open Google Chrome or another tab, and there are two methods. Method one is open Chrome, and while you've got Chrome open, go back to File Explorer, find your file in File Explorer, which will be easy because you've saved it to the desktop. Left-click your file, keep holding that file and drag it into the browser. But there is an easier method than that. While you have Chrome or your browser open, press Control key and press capital O. O for open. Control plus capital O. Control plus capital O opens your files and you can put it straight into the web browser at the top there where the web address is. The other way is go back to your file that you've saved on desktop as game.html. Right click and you will see some options. You might have to click more options and you'll see a link and you can copy the link, paste that into your where the address goes at the top. Don't put it in the search bar in Google search. That is incorrect. Okay? All right. That's just the basics. We have not even discussed JavaScript, nor have we discussed what coding means. The next lessons, and I'll just grab my book, we're going to do lots of lessons, and I'm going to tell you basically what we're going to look at. We're going to look at variables, data types, and memory. Operators, don't roll your eyes. In maths, we had operators like equal sign, plus sign, minus sign, and free equals. Equal, equal, equal. When you have free equal, 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 that means exact. So, for example, if you had in your score when you are coding equal, equal, equal 10, the computer checks, has this exact value equal, equal 10? If yes, end of game, player wins. We are also going to look at functions and parameters. I sometimes get tongue-tied. Parameters. So functions and parameters. We're going to look at decisions. If, else, and Boolean logic. We are going to look at events. Events, keyboard, mass, timers. We're going to look at loops, the game loop. We're going to look at objects, thinking like a programmer. And then we will be building Pong from scratch. So, I will be reading from my book as I talk to you. First, there is one more thing. Sometimes in codes, you will see delta. When I saw delta, I freaked out and thought, oh no, is it something like co or sine? blah, blah, blah. Delta just means change. If you have stayed with me this long, thank you very much. I will see you again soon for lesson 2. And I hope you'll be able to get a lot out of it. So if you don't want to go through these lessons, skip about 8 or 9 ahead and you'll go. What I'm saying is wait for about 8 or 9 of these, and after that I'll just simply show you. I'll hold up my page, each page, and you could just copy it and code your own Pong game. Thank you for watching. You take care. Love and blessings. If you're going to drop a comment, I ask that you do so with respect. Until next time, bye.